Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Hero Club podcast. This week, we're here with Russell Stong. I'm Micah Howell, one of your hosts, and my co-founder of Hometown Heroes Sports Agency, Brett McPeters, is my co-host here. Russell, we're excited to have you on today. Ladies and gentlemen, Russell is from Northridge, California. He plays basketball for UCLA. He was on their 2021 Final Four team, and he is a Hometown Heroes athlete at Brett and I's agency. So we're excited to have you on here today, Russell.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. So that's a little introduction that I can give you. But if you want to go ahead and dive deeper into that, what do you want to tell people about yourself? Tell us a little bit.
Man, it's a lot of pressure. Just a small town kid from Northridge, California. Grew up locally, went to high school at Crespi Carmelite, two-time state champion, Mission League champion, and went on to go to UCLA, and I'm currently studying mechanical engineering and business economics. And like you said, I participate on the basketball team. Was fortunate enough to be part of our Final Four team. Went to the Sweet 16 the following 2 years, and recently won the Pac-12. That's a little background about me.
It's a lot of accolades, man. That's awesome. Where's Northridge, California? I'm not too good with California demographics, but
yeah, so UCLA is in a town called Westwood, and that's like 30 minutes south of my house. So from UCLA, just go about 20 miles north, and you're in Northridge.
LA, born and raised.
Yep, San Fernando Valley. You know the vibes.
You a Dodgers?
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, were you a Dodgers fan?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much everything LA. To be honest, I don't keep up with baseball too much, but if I had to root for a team, it's definitely the Dodgers.
Yeah, I can't stand the Dodgers personally, but it's just because I'm a Braves fan. We have a lot of clashing, but
yeah, we also took your guy, didn't we?
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that part. I wasn't going to bring it up, but it's all right. I blame his agent, not him.
Fair. You got to do what you got.
Everything that came out about that was insane. How the Braves offered him, but his agent didn't tell him the offer.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, see,
that's why
I don't really keep up too much, but I didn't know the whole story behind it. All I know is there was a little rivalry going on, and we snatched the best player. So
yeah, that's why if you've seen the video of him first time coming back into Atlanta to play, he was just like, because I think he wanted to stay in Atlanta, honestly. That's his whole career has been here. And when he came back to play in Atlanta for the first time, he was just like bawling his eyes out because everybody gave him a standing ovation and stuff. And I think it was kind of just like that sucks because could have stayed, but stupid agent, man. Whatever. I'm not salty. It is business.
Russell, did a lot of your high school go to UCLA if it's so close?
I mean, I wish. It's just pretty difficult to get in with like a 4% acceptance rate in the most applied to school in the nation. So I'm sure everybody wanted to go, but only a select few.
Wow. I didn't know that. Is it a lot easier to get in state, or do a lot of out of state people usually get in more?
I mean, honestly, you probably have a better chance out of state, but either way, it's pretty much a lottery.
Yeah.
Like I said, most applied to school in the nation, and they're not letting in just anybody. So
that's crazy, dude.
I knew that they all had a really low acceptance rate, but I did not know that it was the most applied school in the nation. That's nuts.
Yep, and number one public university.
All right.
I take a lot of pride in that.
I would too. Yeah, for sure. If you take basketball out of the equation, would you have wanted to go to UCLA, or was there other schools on the map for you?
Yeah, I'm actually glad you brought that up because during my college admission process, I wasn't heavily recruited. So I went through the normal applications. I applied to a bunch of schools, UCLA being one of them. And once I got into UCLA, I really did some more research and, obviously living 30 minutes down the street with all the academic prowess, the traditional historic basketball team, I really looked into UCLA as a college where I could be happy without playing because, it is 11-time national champion UCLA. It's difficult to make the squad. And I knew that going in, but So when I ultimately made the choice to go to UCLA, it was because I knew I would be happy without basketball. So yeah, simply to
Nice.
answer that, yeah.
Very nice. That's so cool. Remind me of what you said your major is again. It's engineering,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So when I came in as a freshman, I got in as a mechanical engineer. And then when COVID rolled around and all the athletes got another year of eligibility, I decided to pick up a second major in business economics.
Wow. Very nice. Is that like, I mean, I know school like UCLA is huge and there's a lot of popular majors, but is engineering one of like a top program or like what's the most well-known like degrees
Yeah.
at UCLA?
So fortunately, being at UCLA, you can't go wrong with any major, honestly. We specialize a lot in, the STEM majors and the different sciences. We produce a lot of doctors and engineers. Pretty sure engineering is a top 10 program in the nation. Um, so when I went in, I sort of had the idea that I didn't want to be a traditional engineer, that sits behind a desk and does calculations all day. And I knew I wanted to be on the business management side of everything. So I think when I made that decision to pick up the second major, I also had that in mind of, I kind of want to change my trajectory to really be on the business side and take up management positions. So yeah, it's kind of how I went that direction.
It's awesome, man.
What was it like to balance basketball and then two traditionally hard majors?
Yeah. Honestly, it's because my passion is in academics, and I take a lot of pride in showing people that it can be done, like brains and bronze. So I think for me, just growing up, it's just always been my attitude, and the household that I was raised in was to succeed academically, and then the sports come second. So just really focusing in on that priority and having that time management to say, okay, well, after practice, before practice, during right before games, like I got to do homework, I got to study whatever free time I have, get ahead on schoolwork so it doesn't conflict with travel and things like that. So it's really just having your priorities straight and setting your time management accordingly.
Yeah. That's cool. I'm sure the school helps some of that too. I heard a couple stories. I knew a couple guys that went and played baseball at Stanford.
Mhm.
And obviously that's a really prestigious school, but I heard some stories that like there was even before practice and especially games, there was like mandatory like study hours before the game, which I had never heard of, but I'm sure schools like that, you really got to hone in and make sure you make it count.
Yeah, that's really the best advice I could give would really just prioritize your academics, and the time management sort of just follows. But it's definitely a learned and practiced skill for sure.
Yeah, that's what I try to tell all of our athletes is, hey, you're a student first and athlete second, and then everything else comes third. So,
Exactly. You
but
got it.
so really cool. What's it been like to play at, you talked about kind of the history behind UCLA's program. What's it been like to play for a program with that much history?
When I take the time to really think about the team that I'm a part of and how fortunate I am to be in the position to be a part of that family is really just a blessing in itself. I mean, you mentioned it, the history behind UCLA and the brotherhood that I'm now a part of is something so surreal. I couldn't even think about it or even imagine it when I was growing up. So, I got to pinch myself sometimes to make sure I'm not dreaming, but yeah, it's really just been an amazing experience that I try not to take for granted.
Yeah, cool.
It's awesome, man. Best
Yeah.
moments. What you got? Let me hear. I want to hear. Uh, we can go like UCLA in general, like a fun moment of just being a student, or I don't know if that's football or something, or basketball in general.
I'd say, um, I mean, obviously, so I hit a 3-pointer against Cal, in one of the games, and that's always been a pretty big highlight of mine. The crowd started chanting my name. I got put in the game and hit a three in Pauley Pavilion. That's every kid's dream. So
That's dope.
that was a great moment for me. Obviously, participating in honestly all the March Madness tournaments because they're all just so different, and the energy in each city is just you get a different feeling each time. So really embracing those moments. Obviously, the Final Four, the heartbreak of the half-court shot that Jalen Suggs hit. But it's really just those roller coasters of emotion. Like the ups and downs is really what I live for. The buzzer beaters in Pauley Pavilion, getting to run into the crowd after Jaime Jaquez hits a pull-up three against ASU, and we get to celebrate with all the fans. So yeah, and it's all the little things too, hanging out with the guys. We love to play chess and Super Mario Bros. So it's also like those times where I get together with dudes, 5-star recruits and guys that are going to go to the NBA, and I'm just this little kid from Northridge, and we all end up in the same spot and all competing for the same goal. So I don't know. There's a bunch of moments. There's also the Roebling block parties at UCLA, which basically at the beginning of each quarter, there's a street called Roebling, and they essentially just create a huge bonfire, and everybody comes out, and there's a bunch of people in the street, and it's pretty monitored too. Like they'll have the fire trucks and the police officers already set up. It's like blockaded, so it's relatively safe, but like there's a huge ass bonfire in the middle of the street. Kids are throwing whatever, setting their last year's finals on fire, or like throwing couches in, chairs in, and just jumping across. So that's always a great time.
So that happens 4 times a year?
3, yeah.
3, goodness gracious.
Yeah, so it's like a big kickoff to like the school year and like the quarter. And
That's
also
crazy.
UCLA is also known for, I don't know if you've heard of their undie run.
I was about to ask you about that.
Yeah, so that's
when does that occur?
The Wednesday of finals week, which is sort of annoying if you have later finals. I don't know why we don't run it on the Friday, but that I don't leave, like somebody else planned it for the Wednesdays. But yeah, Wednesday night at midnight, everybody lines up and right at where the frat row starts, and there's got to be thousands of people. Like I'm not even exaggerating.
Oh, yeah.
And they run through the streets of Westwood, and the path takes us up to like past our Bruin Bear, which is like our mascot, and then through these steps called Jan Steps, which is like basically the middle of the campus courtyard, and then you end up at the top where Royce Hall is and Powell Library, and basically everybody's just in their underwear, partying, jumping in the fountains, just having fun.
How long is this run?
You mean like distance?
Yeah, because I can't imagine this got to be less than like a mile, right?
Yeah, honestly, it'd probably be right around a mile.
The fact that you had to think about it kind of scares me.
No, yeah.
The fact that that was a possibility that it was longer than a mile.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think about it. Yeah, it's probably maybe a little bit less than a mile, but like if you're really running, you'll definitely by the end be in like a sweat. Especially
that's what I'm imagining. Like I feel like this is really exciting and fun, but I feel like there's got to be a majority of people that you get like to half a mile and you're like, holy crap, like this is still going.
Well, I'll say this too. When there's a mob of thousands of people and the adrenaline is going, and there's some other motivations, if you know what I mean, and like you look around and you're just like, I got to get to the top. Like that's where everybody's at. But it does make it a little difficult that UCLA's campus is a little bit hilly. So, running up and down hills is a little frustrating, but it's all worth it in the end.
Yeah, I was a football guy. I topped out at 100 yards. I don't run past that.
Yeah, I mean, you don't get judged if you walk. You just might get ran over. That's all.
That's understandable.
It's like a running of the bulls.
I get the adrenaline, man. Adrenaline for a whole mile. That's like you got to have a lot of adrenaline for that.
Yeah, so I don't know.
How did that start? Do you know like the history behind that?
That's a great question. All I know is I came to UCLA and it was a thing. I was like, they told me you got to go to the undie run. I'm like, but I have a final on Thursday. They're like, nah,
it doesn't matter.
Sacrifices you make for college experiences, I suppose.
Heck yeah. So I might have to fly up there for the next one. That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah,
once in a lifetime experience.
I mean, I'm thinking maybe you guys, if you because you're already out of school. So if you want to do the spring quarter undie run, like, and you want to make a trip to LA,
Heck
just
yeah.
do the undie run
Oh
there.
no.
Hey,
Add it to the itinerary.
I'll do it.
There
No.
we go.
Here's one
Well,
problem. You can't mention like fun ideas to me and Micah because between the two of us, like it'll probably end up happening.
we'll find some way.
I love that. I love that.
I mean, that's how we own a company now.
There
So
we go.
why not?
Ambition and initiative. That's key.
Heck yeah. So maybe I'll try to
Right, man.
find some underwear companies for you. Try to get you a deal for the undie run. That'd be kind of sick.
There we go. There we go. Or I could just, wear hometown heroes across.
Yeah, dude.
Hey,
On a Speedo. That
I
would
know
be
I know a couple merch people. We can get that done.
There we go.
That's sick. We'll look into that. We'll talk more.
Sounds good to me.
I
So
told you, a fun idea. It's probably gonna happen.
all right. Well, on that note, on deals, talking about things like that, what's kind of your favorite one? What are some NIL deals that you've done? And then what's your favorite one that you've done?
You know, they've all had like a certain twist, and obviously I'm promoting different things each time, and I really just try to embrace each of them separately. But probably the first deal I ever had was interesting. It was with a company called Sheets and Giggles, and they reached out to me before our bubble March Madness year, and their idea was we're going to construct the most well-rested team in America. And obviously, I thought about it because I saw their DM and they were proposing, yeah, you're one of the kids that doesn't play, but you still have some popularity. Will you be part of our most well-rested team in America? Because all you do is sit on the bench and we're promoting, sleeping. So I was like, I don't know. Do I want this for my image? Do I really want to play on the fact that I don't get any minutes and I am that well rested? I don't know. And then, after a few days of thought, I talked with my family and, I just decided I'd rather have some fun with it, embrace the whole NIL space and really, get a jump start. I didn't see anybody else doing deals like that. And obviously it's, pretty niche for walk-ons and players that don't play. So it was a good opportunity for me. And so, yeah, I went along with that and I basically promoted a sheets company called Sheets and Giggles.
Good name, man. That's crazy.
So it was fun. It was more of like a comedic deal that I embraced, and a lot of people asked me about it. So that one is pretty fun. You know, I've done Ultra Ankle. I've done PSD. I got some Reebok stuff. I got a career like essentially like an Indeed, but it's called Zincs, and it specializes in student athletes trying to find jobs. So always a good promotion. And honestly, being roommates with Jaime Jaquez, he got a lot of deals, as you can imagine, and I got to reap some of the benefits. So I got to tag along, when he would get invited to soccer games or basketball games, and he'd go to a clothing company and take me along. And so it was just really, for me, NIL was just a place for me to have fun, with NIL coming up not too long, like a little later in my career. I knew that, the opportunities would be limited for me. And it was just really, how can I make the most of it, have some fun, make a little bit of money, and get involved with my community. So I just tried to do that the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did when NIL became legalized about halfway through your career, did that
Uh-huh.
change a lot of the culture at UCLA?
UCLA does a great job in trying to set up collectives and, create funds for athletes to get paid. And obviously we appreciate that. Um, in terms of our culture, I would say, with NIL being still relatively new, the rules are a little gray. It's kind of the Wild West out there. So again, I was just trying to look at every opportunity I had. You guys obviously helped me out so much, and getting that leap forward in front of everybody. But I'd say the way NIL affected most of the culture would be the recruiting culture, in terms of players coming up with, like, high school players coming with agents and saying, you got to offer me X, Y, and Z, or I'm not coming to your school. And to be quite honest, I don't know how much I like that. I think there should be regulation in terms of those kind of things, because thankfully UCLA is on a platform where we can compete with those kind of things, being the prestigious school that we are. But I don't think it's very fair to the smaller schools and smaller NIL markets that could still compete at the highest level if it weren't for, things like that. But in terms of our culture, go ahead.
No, sorry, you keep going.
Yeah, in terms of our culture, I mean, within the team, everybody sort of had a positive look. Everybody was very supportive. Everybody was sharing their deals and they were all excited. So it was cool. It was a way to also bond within the team and sort of see everybody's interests and what they're getting into. And, people would pass on contacts if they could. Like I would get like right now I have a deal with this company called Duffel, which was actually a company started at UCLA by UCLA students that is now expanded to the USC campus, Santa Barbara campus, and Berkeley campuses, and other smaller campuses around California. I don't know if they've expanded out of state yet, but basically it's a convenience item delivery service from students on scooters, and they, guarantee you will get there within 5 to 10 minutes, whatever. But I got that deal and was able to, present it to my team and was able to create like a committee of our guys that could, get paid weekly and then get referrals and things like that. So it's also a way for our culture to bring our guys together, get involved, and just also try to make a difference in our community too. So.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I love hearing those kind of stories, and hopefully that kind of gives some people too some insight of what NIL can be and how many different ways and platforms it can be a part of. Because I feel like there's still a big stigma of just like people thinking that NIL is just so one-sided and it's just a bunch of cash to people, and just the guys who are the Bryce Youngs and the big athletes in the country. So those are some cool stories.
Yeah. Sorry. I have a thought on that.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, to speak on that, one of the collectives we had at UCLA was called the Bruin Fan Alliance. And their emphasis was what you just said, getting everybody paid, whether it's the Bryce Youngs or the best quarterbacks in the nation, the best point guards in the nation, all the way down to the walk-ons, to even non-revenue sports such as, rowing and gymnastics and things like that. So they created this collective called the Bruin Fan Alliance that brought all student athletes together. And not only are they creating events for these athletes to get paid, but, they're actually legit events that get us out in the community. So, for example, the Bruin Fan Alliance put together an initiative for our basketball team to go into the inner cities. Watts and Compton are, 20, 30 minutes away from UCLA. So we all took a bus down there and we worked on a rejuvenation process in the parks down there. So we worked to clean their basketball courts, provide them with new basketball hoops, hung out with the kids. And it was also through the LAPD. So we got together with the LAPD, and then we had this nice barbecue at the end of the night, hung out at the rec center. So it was also an opportunity for these underprivileged kids to see what a basketball player looks like. And they've never, to be starstruck by a UCLA player coming to their town. It could really, hopefully inspire them to work towards something better. All at the same time, obviously our guys are getting paid, but that's not the only motivation. We're out there in the community, making a difference, representing UCLA, all under the blanket of NIL. And I took an inspiration to that as well. And, now that I'm transitioning to become an alumni at UCLA, I'm now working on the advisory board for this Bruin Fan Alliance committee, and, working for different ways to see how we can get athletes paid at a, more generous rate, while also creating more events for everybody in the upcoming years as NIL becomes more solidified. And hopefully we can make that collective a big group so that, we can continue things like that and continue to also positively affect our community while getting athletes paid. So like you said, people think it's just shoveling money to the best players. I agree that that does happen, and I'd rather, there be some regulation on that. But there are, initiatives such as the Bruin Fan Alliance that work to destroy that stigma. So that's why I also am very passionate about that as well.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I love that.
Yeah,
Very cool.
appreciate it.
So now you're on the advisory board for that. What are you just helping run that now?
Yeah, so they're obviously very aware of my time commitments to, the upcoming graduate school that I have to be a part of. I'm volunteering here and there with the basketball team to try to be around where I can. And, other people handle the day-to-day operations of Bruin Fan Alliance. So, I'm not cranking numbers or sitting there making calls every single day, but they have an understanding of the time commitment I'm able to give. And I try to help them design events, bring them, different student athlete leaders that I know want to be a part of it and go to events, because even if I'm not a basketball player, name, image, and likeness, my name, image, and likeness still has, a pull, especially around the Bruin community. So just also being a representative for them, I feel like is a is a is a good thing to have, further connections, get some more money, create more events, alumni, things like that. So that's sort of what I do.
Yeah. How many collectives does UCLA have? Do you know?
Um, so I know of two major collectives in the Bruin Fan Alliance, and then we have something called the Men of Westwood. Men of Westwood's, at least as of now, handles more of the 5-star quarterback, here's your money kind of thing. But there our aim, at least under the Bruin Fan Alliance, is to try to cooperate as a one collective, so that way, we could get a lot more money, a lot better events for everybody, as well as, still have that fund of money. But we have other, we've had, donating events. So we have something called the Wooden Fund. We got the Bruin Alumni Association. So there's all these different funds that can contribute to paying student athletes, but I'd say the two main ones would be Bruin Fan Alliance and Men of Westwood. And also what UCLA does through Influencer, the app, is they've created a marketplace where, companies sign up, athletes have profiles, and it's sort of like an easy way for athletes to get in touch with companies, sort of like Base Path or Open Doors.
Yeah.
So it's like that kind of thing, but it's more specific to UCLA.
I got you.
So yeah, UCLA does a great job of trying to help out. Like I've mentioned before, there's not a lot of rules and nobody really knows what they're doing. So we're trying our best to stay on top of it.
Yeah. The guy who started Influencer is from here in Birmingham. And so
Oh yeah.
I haven't gotten to meet him yet. I'm trying to, but I know a lot about it, kind of tracked it through some mutual friends that we have.
Yeah, the way it started, at least for my basketball team, is that's where a lot of our photos were uploaded.
Yeah, that's how it all started before NIL. Open Doors is the same way.
Yeah, so it was more like a photo platform, and then they're like, "Oh, hey, by the way, we have this marketplace. You can try to find deals," which is cool because I've been reached out, randomly from different companies. So
Yeah.
yeah, just kind of plugging along.
Yeah. Super cool.
Sick.
So you graduate in June and then you'll start your master's program in the fall?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll graduate in June with the 2 undergraduate degrees, and then in fall, I'm starting the 1-year mechanical engineering program with an emphasis in autonomous systems. And yeah, just
In what?
well, it's called autonomous systems, and basically what that is artificial intelligence is obviously on the rise with different softwares such as ChatGPT and things like that. Autonomous systems are an application of artificial intelligence. They're basically robots, for lack of a better word, but these autonomous systems can be applied to different production processes. They can, be applied to basically anything, and you're using the software of artificial intelligence to create mechanisms that and do things by themselves.
So in normal people words, you're building robots.
Yeah, yeah, in its simplest terms, but robots is very encompassing. Robots can do a lot of things, and when I say robots, people often, think of a humanoid robot that looks like a human and acts like a human, but
The movie iRobot.
exactly. So, but like the autonomous systems could also be like self-driving cars, or you know, the robots that are needed to manufacture whatever. So there's a lot of applications, and honestly, the possibilities, especially now with all this technology coming out and the exponential growth behind it, I just see the world gravitating in that direction. And I'm not particularly the most versed in programming and computer science and things like that. I like to be hands-on and work with mechanisms that can be applied in the real world. So that's kind of the route I'm taking.
Yeah, super cool.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, it'll be exciting. I'm a little nervous because I haven't done, a strict engineering class in a while now. I've been finishing up the business portion of my double major, so it'll be interesting jumping back into that world.
Yeah, for sure. So, did you have another year of eligibility that you could have taken?
You mean next year?
Right, like you're getting your master's. Could you have stayed on and kept playing basketball? Was that an option?
Unfortunately not.
Okay.
So I'm finishing up my fifth year and I'm graduating my fifth year in June.
Mhm.
And that was because I used my COVID year. I didn't redshirt at all. So
Gotcha.
yeah, so my old man times on the UCLA bench are over, unfortunately.
Keep it up with everybody's COVID year and fifth year and redshirt year, and it's intense.
Exactly. It gets a little tough because we actually have a guy coming back that he's going to be in his sixth year. So
Oh yeah.
that'll be,
That's like at Alabama. We're about to bring back Jaden Quinterly.
oh yeah,
For
exactly.
his like it feels like his like 10th year, and I love the dude. I'm glad he's coming back, but just feel like he's
Yeah.
always there.
Yeah, no, I'm if I'm not mistaken, he was in the same class as me.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, so
Yeah, cool.
yeah,
Um, what's the coolest arena you've ever gotten to play in?
that's a good question. I mean, most recently we played in Madison Square Garden, and obviously that's a historic stage, and you
Yeah.
know, people talk about how it feels in the atmosphere, and you don't really know until you step in. But I remember vividly when we were sitting there waiting for our game because we were the second game, and I'm just standing there looking at the court, looking around, and just the way the lighting was, it was like this angelic glow was just on the court. And it really felt like when we got out there for layup lines, and like this really feels like a stage. Like I feel like I'm on the biggest stage and I'm about to, perform this crazy game. So it's just like I felt the whole energy, I felt the aura and why it's considered one of the better arenas to compete in. But also on that same trip, the game prior, we played at Maryland. And that, in its objectively is, just another college, Big Ten school. But my mom actually went to Maryland. And then so when we found out we were going to be able to go back on campus for my last year. And so my parents actually traveled to every game for my last year. So they were all there. I got to see a lot of my family. My godparents made it out. So that was really a great experience for me. Just, more sentimental value more than the actual arena, I would say. Sold out crowd. Thankfully, we took care of business and ended up winning by a lot. So I was able to get some minutes too, and to be able to step on the court at my mom's alma mater was definitely a great experience for me, personally. Um, I playing in the Maui Invitational was something pretty cool too, just because the gym is so small. It's basically a high school gym. It's like 3 to 4 thousand maybe, and just having everybody on top of you, and it really brings you back to playing in high school, and everybody is screaming really loud. You can hear everything, and that's just awesome. And obviously, being in Maui is sick. So,
Say Hawaii in general sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we weren't as good as we were. It was only Cronin's first year, so obviously I wish we would have performed better on the court, but just looking back at it as an experience was a great time. I can't mention any of the Pac-12 schools because Poly Pavilion is the best place to play in the Pac-12.
Heck yeah. How many does Poly Pavilion hold?
I think upper 12,000s, close to 13,000, I believe.
Yeah.
So when it gets rocking, it gets rocking. But it's a very spacious design. So, when we competed at schools, like when we played at Notre Dame, for example, or even Maryland or ASU, for example, they're much steeper and like you can like the sound just climaxes right on the court, whereas Poly is more like it's a gradual ascent to the top, and it's this very grandiose, arena. And so even when there's 6, 7, 8,000 people, it might not sound as loud as, another gym, which has its ups and downs. But when it's fully packed out, which it thankfully was, in these last 2 to 3 years, as we started winning some basketball games, it was definitely an atmosphere that is pretty indescribable. So that was always awesome. But yeah, I mean, I personally liked playing away games. It's a little bit different for me, I don't have any pressure. Like I'm just, experiencing this new place, and I don't have to deal with all the loud noise, but to really just be in it and people yelling at you and being in hostile territory is definitely a fun time. So I like playing away.
Yeah. I was the same way. I love hostile environments.
Yeah,
it was so fun. Kind of just fuels the adrenaline.
Yeah, no, exactly. So especially when you don't have to go out there and like perform under it, like you just really just get to sit there and embrace it and soak it all in. And
yeah,
winning's always good too.
Yeah, I was about to say that's when it's even better, when they are hostile environments and you go and stomp them.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
All right, well, I can't go through this whole podcast without asking. You got Kobe, LeBron, and MJ on your wall. Who's your GOAT?
I think it's honestly pretty undebatable, LeBron.
Oh, all right.
I think the stats speak for themselves. I think his longevity speaks for itself. And although they unfortunately got swept, I don't think that should have any blemish on his legacy, considering Michael Jordan wasn't making the playoffs at his age and carrying, so I think the proof is in the pudding. The proof is in the longevity. And also, I think it's very weird that when we discuss winning and losing, that it's worse to make it to the finals and then lose as opposed to not even making it there. So it's a little confusing to me. But I'd rather make it, 10 times as opposed to, I don't know. So it's just, I don't think it's very debatable. And I think the physique and what LeBron can do at his size, he's really just an all-around player. And as you can see, Kobe right here, he basically mimicked Jordan. I don't think we'll ever see a player like LeBron James ever again. So I don't know. That's just my takes.
I won't hate on anybody for ever saying LeBron, but I will judge for saying it's not debatable, because it's very debatable.
Okay.
It's very, very debatable. I'm a Jordan. I'm a fan. I'm a Jordan fan, but
I can tell.
I actually used to have that same poster as my I had it on like a phone case.
Yeah, I actually
iPhone, like I can't even remember. It had a home button, I know that, but
yeah, I actually bought this in Venice Beach when I was younger. I think I was 10 or something like that. So, and then this poster right here, that's James.
Yeah.
Dude, but look, the poster does it justice right there, man. He's just like, hey, I'm the best. You two little guys come up under me. I'll show you how it's done. I
But this
paved the
was
way for you.
but this was back when LeBron was, on his first stint on the Cavs, and he wasn't the GOAT then, obviously. But I think the tables have turned.
It's fair.
I get behind you, and I agree. You can't say anything about his legacy for this last sweep. I mean, he put up 40 points last night. It's not his fault they lost.
Yeah. He didn't get off the court in the first half.
I don't think he left the
Yeah,
court at all. I think he played all
I
48
should.
minutes.
Yeah, I think he did. I think he should have got the rock more in the second half. But that's been happening all season. I don't know. It's been a little weird.
Yeah, I think they're trying to transition it over to be AD's team, and it's just
Hmm.
AD's great. Don't get me wrong, but it's still LeBron's team.
Austin Reeves team.
I
There you
mean,
go.
that's the thing. I think
Just
whenever
kidding.
whenever LeBron is on the court, it's got to be his team.
For sure.
Even if he's not performing, to his peak LeBron level, I think, just his experience and his leadership presence is enough within itself.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely the second best player ever.
I guess we'll leave it at that then.
Yeah.
Real cool.
He doesn't play defense. Sorry. Continue.
One more question before we go. We like to ask everybody. Brett and I are really big in chasing your dreams. We say if you have a fun idea, then we'll do it. But really, what that stems from is that we want to chase our dreams. We want to put all of our resources toward chasing our dreams, and we want to help other people chase their dreams. So, with that said, Russell, what's your dream? If you could go out and do anything, could not fail. What's your dream?
I mean, is it bad to say that I'm living my dream?
No, not at all.
Not at all, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm living the best life that I can right now. And I've honestly, a big motto of mine is to dream, believe, and achieve. And if you can dream something, you can think about it, you can set a goal for yourself to dream and really do it, believe that you can do it, and just like you said, keep striving for it. Even if you have the possibility of failing, act like you're not going to fail and just keep believing that you can do it. And that leads to the third step, which is achieving and really doing the steps necessary to reach your goals. So I think I've lived by that mindset. I've been raised on that mindset, and that's helped me, get to live the dream that I am now. So
Yeah,
Love it, man.
I'm gonna get that on a poster in my wall. The picture of you hitting the 3-pointer against Cal. Get that with dream, believe, achieve under it.
yeah, you
That
should.
is.
I mean, yeah, I still wear this bracelet that my mom got me. I don't know if you can read it, but it does say dream, believe, achieve.
That's super
Um,
cool.
yeah, she got it when I was graduating high school. But like I said, I've grown up on it. That's one of the main things we've preached in my household. So just really sticking to it and actually, buying into it can go a long way. And honestly, that's the advice I give for anybody trying to do anything in their life, whatever that dream may be. It's just make sure you have the following two steps, which is really believing in it and doing the work necessary to achieve it.
Heck yeah, man. Love it.
Very well said.
Yes, sir.
Well, cool. Well, that's all the time we got for today. But Russell, we appreciate you coming on. It's great hearing from you, hearing your story.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure talking with you boys, and you guys have been such a great help in my career on and off the court. So always appreciate it and always glad to come on.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Been a pleasure working with you. Congratulations on all the success and on and off the court.
Yes, sir.
Maybe we'll see you at the undie run.
Oh yeah. Nah, definitely. We got to set it up. Don't joke with
Hey, dude, I got a bunch of flight credit left over from COVID when my flight got canceled one time.
me.
I might just.
There we go.
So super cool, man. Well, we'll talk to you later. We appreciate the time.
All right, boys. Thank you so much.